Hello and welcome to Steps to Maths. In this video we'll be continuing our discussion of factors, prime numbers, composite numbers, the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple. So we finished the last video looking at composite numbers and how to break a composite number into its prime components. Now we'll be looking at factors and the highest common factor. The highest common factor is the largest or the highest number that is a factor of all of the numbers that we are looking at. So for example, what is the highest common factor of 12, 18 and 24? So what we do is we list all the factors of those numbers, and we already know how to write factors, so we just list them all there. And as you can see, I've highlighted in green all the factors which are common to all three lists, meaning that they are in all three lists. So 1 is common to all three, 2 is common, 3 is common to all three lists, and 6 is common to all three lists. Okay, so those are all the factors which are common to all three numbers. However, 6 is the largest factor which is common, so 6 is the highest common factor. What about multiples and the lowest common multiple? Well, using the same strategy as we did for factors, we could write out all the multiples of 3, all the multiples of 4, and all the multiples of 15. So as you can see, the difference here is that multiples are an infinite set, so it just keeps going and going and going. There's not a fixed number of them. So I'm trying to find the lowest common multiple of 3, 4 and 15. So I could write out down many multiples of 3, many multiples of 4 and many multiples of 15 before I find one which is common to all three lists. Okay, so I've listed the one that's common, that's the number 60, but this isn't the best way to find the lowest common multiple. Let's have a look at a slightly different way. Okay, so the best way so far of finding the lowest common multiple of 3, 4 and 15 will be to pick the biggest number, 15, and find those multiples. Okay, so you're writing down a lot, far fewer numbers now. So the multiples of 15 are 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90 and so on. So there should be 3 little dots there to indicate that continues to infinity. Now it's up to you to recognize that 60 is the first number that 3 and 4 also divide evenly into. So 4 doesn't divide evenly into 15, 4 doesn't divide evenly into 30, 4 doesn't divide evenly into 45, but 4 does divide evenly into 60, and so does 3. So 60 is the lowest common multiple. However, this method, it's up to you to know your times tables and to recognize the smallest number that the other numbers divide evenly into. Okay, so that's how you find factors and the lowest common multiples. However, for a more robust way, we'll be using prime decomposition. So, in order to find the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple, our method will be step 1, use prime decomposition. Then step 2, the highest common factor will be the intersection of these. The lowest common multiple will be the union of these. So for example, let's find the highest common factor of 12, 18 and 24. Step 1, prime decomposition. Now you'll notice I've written them out in a particular way so that we can kind of see what sections are common to all three. So we can see that the multiple 2 by 3 is common to 12, 18 and 24. Okay, so that's something that's common to all three sections. So that will be our highest common factor, and it's what I'm referring to as the intersection here. What about the lowest common multiple? Well, to find the lowest common multiple, you find the highest power in each section. So we find the highest power of 2, so that's 2 to the power of 3, 2 by 2 by 2. We find the highest power of 3, which is 3 by 3 by 3. So this is what I'm referring to as the union. We find the highest power of 2, the highest power of 3, and so on. If it was a different number, you'd find the highest power of 5, the highest power of 7, the highest power of 11, and you'd put those all together in a sort of a union. You'd multiply them all out, and that would give you your lowest common multiple. Okay, so this is especially useful for the union. Especially useful for the lowest common multiple, where the numbers can be very large. So you use prime decomposition. The highest common factor are the factors that are common to all three lists, which you can see there is the 2 by 3. Okay, so it's the least power of 2 the least power of 3 multiplied together. And that could be 0. There might not be any powers of 2, in which case you wouldn't have any powers of 2 in your intersection. The lowest common multiple is the highest power from each section.